To be African is to know that you have all the resources, all the manpower, but some way, somehow, a few individuals make it a point to line their pockets with what is meant to be shared wealth. And if they didn't create or amend laws in order to grease the wheels of their corruption, they often change the rules after the fact when it is time to hold them accountable. Now, I don't know how you can approach the issues in your country most effectively, but I do know that unchecked power should at the very least be subjected to a second take. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
All right, let's get straight into it. Kenyan MPs have voted overwhelmingly in favor of removing the country's deputy president over accusations of corruption. Lawmakers also accuse Rigathi Gachagua of practicing ethnically divisive politics and undermining the government. Gachagua denies any wrongdoing in a row that follows his recent fallout with President William Ruto. Okay, wait, so which came first? The chicken or the corruption allegations? Because voting him out at the same time him and Ruto are unfriending each other, but basing it on corruption makes it seem like they either made up the allegations or they have known about his corruption for a long time and they have just been waiting for the quote-unquote right moment. Which is weird, because one would think that legally taking to task someone that wields that much power would be a matter of urgency, not a matter of waiting until he crossed Ruto, who is apparently difficult to disagree with. I mean, the country just had thousands of young people taken to the streets in numbers because they like the scent of tear gas. Political loyalties are interesting because they lie with whoever has the most power, not the person whose ideals and actions are a reflection of what the people want. Don't misunderstand me. I am not saying Ruto is wrong. Kenyans are. Moving on, in what can only be described as a masterclass in political vanishing acts, Cameroon's President Paul Biya, now 91, has once again disappeared for an extended stay in Geneva, Switzerland. For those keeping score, it's been 5 weeks since Biya was last sighted at the Africa-China Forum in Beijing. Since then, his public appearances have been as rare as democracy in his country. Not to worry though, the government has reassured the world that Biya is in fact very much alive. After all, why would anyone think otherwise? Just because he hasn't been seen in over a month and skipped a major international meeting in Paris? Minor details, mate. Cameroon's Territorial Administration Minister Paul Atanganji took time out from his busy schedule of ghost whispering to state that the president is not only alive, but thriving. He's probably somewhere in Geneva enjoying fondue, completely unbothered by the nation he's ruled with an iron grip for 42 years. Because nothing says I'm alive and well like sending someone else to do your job while you remain conspicuously absent. For good measure, G and other senior officials have gone on a countrywide tour to remind everyone that the president's health is impeccable. Paul Biya is so healthy, in fact, that they must tell you repeatedly and again and once more for the people in the back. It's almost as if they think if they say it enough times, we'll forget we haven't actually seen the man. Gregory Mewano, a member of Biya's ruling party, chipped in to help calm the frenzied masses. Our president is clearly alive, he declared on state radio, with all the conviction of someone who hasn't seen their boss in weeks. Mewano also offered the usual checklist of government activity as proof of Biya's aliveness. Prime Minister in Germany? Check. Minister of Public Works? Check. Busy inspecting projects. President Biya? Definitely not deceased, just unavailable, but alive. Don't ask why he's unavailable. Here is Paul Biya in 2022 when he was available.
You see, c'est qui tous ces gens qui sont là? Pourquoi je n'ai pas demandé ça? Est-ce qu'il y a des gens importants là?
Les ministres, les ministres vous ont le président Kagame a parlé, il est parti, introduit. Le monsieur vous a introduit. Il y avait un monsieur de vous qui vous a introduit.
Je dois parler maintenant.
Vous restez assis, parlez assis. Vous pouvez parler assis, étant assis.
Ici?
Oui.
Pourquoi?
We are 2 years removed from that event, so it is understandable when Cameroonians of all political stripes question the details of his Swiss sabbatical. Will Paul Biya return to his country anytime soon? Grandfather time will tell. Mozambique, the land of sun-kissed beaches, untapped resources, and of course, the age-old tradition of pretending to hold elections. As the votes trickle in, the nation waits with bated breath, or perhaps just thinly veiled cynicism, for the results of what we're supposed to believe is a fair and democratic process. Sure, the vote passed peacefully, if you consider a few allegations of fraud, sealed ballot boxes, and conveniently missing election monitors mere formalities in the grand tradition of electoral theatre. After all, why let transparency ruin the suspense? Frelimo, the ruling party for 49 consecutive years, because who doesn't love an uninterrupted reign approaching half a century, has graciously allowed yet another round of democratic elections. Voting kicked off across all 18 provinces, even in the insurgency-ridden north, where the sweet sound of ballot boxes being stuffed was only slightly drowned by the more pressing sound of actual fighting. Daniel Chapo, the chosen heir apparent, a fresh-faced 47-year-old who emerged from Frelimo's internal surprise vote, is widely expected to ascend to the presidency. But don't let the idea of a new face fool you. Frelimo remains the same well-oiled machine, ever adept at the fine art of staying in power. Opposition candidates like Venancio Mondlane, who dares to represent the frustrations of Mozambique's disillusioned youth, can complain all they like. Frelimo's storied history of alleged election rigging is well documented, but why stop now? After all, if the system isn't broken, or at least for those in power, why fix it? And if it is broken, well, just patch it up with a peace deal or two like the one with opposition Renamo in 2019. Meanwhile, Mozambique's vast natural resources lie beneath the surface, much like its political discontent, waiting to be fully exploited.
Connection. It's in the human touch, the feeling of belonging. It inspires us and empowers us, creates clarity from complexity. It starts new conversations, unlocks the power of advice, and makes an impact on your life. At Alex Forbes, we pioneer insight to provide you with advice that connects your decisions of today to your impact tomorrow.
On Namspective, I am joined by media practitioner, theatre practitioner, and most importantly, Namibian youth Glenora Shipura, as she shares her insights, or observations rather, with regards to the Namibian election in November. Joining me for Namspective today is broadcast journalist Glenora Shipura, and I'd say social worker as well. You know, you do some work in society.
I do. I did some projects a couple of years back, but it seems I've been a little bit quiet on that front in terms of film.
Yes, but also, yes, theatre maker, filmmaker,
yes,
without a doubt.
yes.
But most importantly, for the sake of this segment, Namibian youth.
Yes, yes, Namibian, and we are part of the youth.
We are part of the youth.
Yes.
All right, so elections are looming. November is definitely around the corner, much closer than it was before. I mean, logically, but I mean, the build-up is palpable. What's your general take on the atmosphere leading up to elections? Does it feel like an election year?
I don't know, not the same as last year, right? I feel that
Last
way.
year,
I mean,
okay.
not last year, sorry,
Last
the
elections.
last one. The last one. to be fair, the last one, I was also not in the country. I traveled that time. But you could see the conversation within my peers and also older and younger, whatever. There was conversations about who are we voting for, which route are we going. There was a lot of hope in terms of the elections, like maybe there would be a change in terms of governance.
All right.
But this time around, what I'm picking up is a lot of the youth, now I'm speaking specifically on the youth, there is this feeling or hopelessness that, these elections are just going to happen like what happened last year. I mean, sorry, the last time.
Election where they felt like there were irregularities. I remember the
irregularities, exactly. And so there's all these rumors that, maybe it wasn't,
Okay, so you
a
feel
fair
like,
election or a fair election result. Yes.
All right. I mean, yeah, people are always going to have their opinions, without a doubt. Now we're looking at essentially a whole new field, right? Of folk. Well, some folks are swinging back for the second time, like Pandle Tula, but even for the ruling party, SWAPO, they're going to be having Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwa. She's going to be giving it her first shot. You feel like the previous election created some kind of voter apathy? Like the youth just feel like there's no point?
Yeah, I feel so too.
But we're talking about the non-SWAPO youth, I assume.
Yes, the non-SWAPO youth. Because I feel most of the youth that you have conversations with, they're struggling with things like unemployment. These are people that studied to be engineers, doctors, and they've been sitting at home for the past 5 years. So they actually want a change in governance. So
the system, whether it's the change of the ruling party or see more voices involved in the democratic process.
But now they feel discouraged because of what happened in the last elections, where most of the youth felt like this is going to be a change. We're going to see a change.
But SWAPO did lose the majority to a point. That brought more voices into parliament.
I think most of them thought that we were going to have, in terms of a political party, a different political party leading. Altogether. So
now this is what worries me about African youth, right? You get to a position where you're like, okay, I don't want a certain thing to continue, but then that's a reason for us to step back, which is worrying for me, because shouldn't that be a reason then to like push harder for the voices that you want to platform?
It's so disheartening because I know at the back of my head 5 people or maybe 10, the youth that didn't just register. They're like, it's pointless. It's pointless.
That's crazy because it doesn't change the fact that people are still going to be making decisions that affect your life.
That affect your life.
Let's talk about the people. Let's talk about the field. Okay, AR Joba Mpanda. How do you feel he's doing it? Of course, a lot of people are using his term as mayor, to kind of judge and foresee where he might be going with this. He is quite potent on social media as an individual, in the public, quote unquote, intellectual. Do you think he's going to gain enough traction to upend SWAPO?
I think, give us 5 years back, right? Especially when he became mayor of Windhoek, there was a lot of youth behind him, specifically. But now he's sort of gotten into tainted waters. Because there were some scandals around him past couple of years. What happened? Was it Chomoise or Sive Dalan, where they were grabbing land?
Quote unquote.
Yes, quote unquote. And so some young people went there trying to grab land, and he didn't show up. So it's little factors like this.
Other incidents. Youth might feel like he's not consistent.
He's not consistent, and they are also consistency is maybe the right word.
So let's swing over to the positive side. If you could visualize a Namibian youth voting for Mpanda, what do you think their prime reason would be? He does have supporters. What do you think their prime reason would be? Just one reason.
I mean, his main ideology has always been the land. Do you get what I'm saying?
Affirmative reposition.
Yes, affirmative reposition.
So you think that's
everybody, and we've come to an understanding of land is wealth.
Yes, of course. Okay, so in that case, because we did say that his political potency kind of waned a little bit with the youth, I could argue that it became shared, or maybe even fully retracted by Michael Amshelelo, who really got the youth behind him, especially when he was marching against unemployment. However, he moved from NEFF to LPM, which also, talks on the issue of land without a doubt. Do you think that for Mshelelo was perhaps an own
I would
goal?
not, my personal opinion, yes, it was. Because we supported NEFF because of him. Like, to be honest, I didn't know of the political party,
Yes.
till he joined and till he started being very vocal and active. And we've seen the countless marches he's held. He has been in prison,
Yes.
for marching against unemployment, corrupt institutions, and so forth. So we've seen him do the work, and we respect that.
So it's a little difficult for you guys to now see him under, because he's not the one running for president. It's
Yes.
Bernardo Swat Boy. So do you feel that Mshelelo didn't manage to transfer the people he had with NEFF?
I wouldn't want to say,
LPM.
I don't know if he didn't manage to because honestly speaking, people followed him. That's another thing that he
They
has.
followed him, yes.
Yes, as much as we didn't we started following NEFF
Individual.
because of Michael Amushelelo. We didn't go to NEFF and start following
Yes.
Michael Amushelelo. It's the other way around.
So do you think he went with his people to LPM?
That one I am not too sure about.
We'll see.
But LPM also has a very, to be fair, it feels like it's a good fit because it also has a very active youth.
It does. It does have a youth,
Yes, they're very vocal. They're very vocal about the injustices. So to a degree, it's almost like
a little bit of inconsistency in their
yes,
leadership.
of course.
Without a doubt.
That that is the disappointing part about LPM.
Okay, so let's swing over to where there has been consistent leadership, PDM and IPC.
PDM, Megendra Bendani,
He's, election time,
we
he's
were
in the
ready
hospital,
to-
he's in the shacks, he's at the taxi
we have seen him
ranks,
take a taxi.
he
We've
gets
seen
inside
him
the houses.
as a political leader, and the way he campaigns. We have to give him props. He does go all out.
Are we giving him props for the way he campaigns towards elections or the way he campaigns over 4 years?
No, towards elections. No, just now. We're
Okay,
talking about
just now. So he doesn't really get it going prior to
so that's what
when
I'm
it's
saying.
crunch time.
But there's a but coming. He's been he's been the leader, and the party has been consistent. Obviously, it has its issues, but it has been consistent. But my issue there, or at least the youth, I stand to be corrected, but from what I picked up, is the fact that it almost feels like he's comfortable being the opposition party.
I mean, it's a hard thing not to be comfortable
No,
with.
he doesn't want to rule. He just wants to be.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, because once you're in parliament, there's benefits involved.
Exactly.
And especially when you are only seen visibly campaigning towards an election, of course, that's going to it's going to translate to how many votes you get. But however, I can give him credit for platforming youths like Ina Hengari, who are very potent, not just in Namibia, but across Africa with the work that they're doing. But it's difficult to go against what you just said, which is, he may be comfortable. And there's decades of evidence saying that he hasn't taken that next step. In fact, it's looking that like he might not be the official opposition after this election.
I am actually thinking the same.
All right.
Yes.
So now speaking of the parties involved, we've got one left, the ruling party. SWAPO. And then now we're going to talk about Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah. She's stepping in. Of course, the main issue she's dealing with is age. It goes without saying. Of course, I mean, Panduleti is not that much younger than her. But you can see in the way she is, putting herself forward. Do you think she's going to be able to reach the youth? These apathetic youth who don't really feel like there's a need to vote. Do you think like she represents a fresh feel, so to speak, from the old guard?
I have to say, I don't think so. Like, I don't know what it is about her. Like, for instance, it also doesn't feel, and I stand to be corrected, that she's also backed by the party itself. Do you get what I'm saying? That's also where people are looking at her.
You're
like,
not sure she's got everybody with her.
We don't think she got everybody with her.
I've got a question.
From the
Would
party,
you rather she projects herself as younger or as the grandmother?
The grandmother, let her own that.
Let her own that.
Let her own
Enough
that
with the
instead of trying to play, oh, I'm cool and whatnot. No, I'm the grandmother that you can come to, that
For
you
wisdom,
can for wisdom
nurture,
and guidance. Yes,
Yes.
instead of trying to play a game that you're just not there yet. I mean, you've passed
that stage.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see how they all campaign towards Namibian youth in particular, because the youth are going to be the majority of voters. We're talking millennials and some Gen Z sneaking in there.
We didn't talk about the Pandileni too. I mean, he did.
Well, IPC. Well, yeah, of course, yeah. We could talk. I mean, I thought because we touched on him briefly, you know, in parts, we can talk about Pandileni. Pandileni, quite consistent.
Quite
the biggest
consistent.
shaking of the old guard we've ever seen.
That's what I'm saying.
And, you know, I felt like we spoke about him because when we were talking about PDM losing its, potentially losing its opposition stronghold, it's likely to be to Pandileni.
Yes, I agree with that completely. How do you feel about
Pandileni's campaign?
I feel like he's doing quite well. I would say I was a little bit skeptical that he's going to garner the youth as he did last time, because he did have a lot of the youth backing him in the last elections. So this time around, what shocked me was that the youth is still like, you know what, past couple of years after he lost the elections, we didn't like the way he behaved. But he's our best bet still.
That's what the youth feel.
Yes.
That's their opinion.
He's our most likely best bet out of everybody out there.
Out of everybody. That's the opinion. I mean, we'll see how it goes. Because, of course, we're speaking Windhoek youth. There's rural youth who are still the majority. And one thing about Pandileni, he's walked all directions in that suit. Listen, he will make sure you see him. So that's been Glenora Shupura sharing her perspective on the Namibian elections set for November. Would love to know your perspectives. Please do send some comments, tweet at us if you will, but most importantly, if you registered to vote, do vote for your future. Second take.
Irongo Med is a leading distributor working in partnership with NewMed and WestMed to meet the comprehensive needs of the Namibian healthcare sector. As a partner pursuing sustainable global healthcare, we offer industry-leading medical solutions through our key focus areas, which include pharmaceuticals, orthopedics, ophthalmology, surgical devices and capital equipment, as well as a well-established scientific laboratory division. In healthcare, Irongo Med is committed to making a difference. What about you?
Daryl Vega comes through with our TikTok of the week, and he is focused on his 4th attempt at a USA green card. Enjoy.
I've done this 3 times before. There was no camera, but I'm surprised now you decide to record this one.
Well, honestly, this is your 4th green card petition. Your last 3 were denied, and here you are 8 months later with a new wife and new petition. What's different about this one?
This one, as in this wife, you can see now, she's very different, because those other 3 ones, they denied. I don't know why they denied it, but I said, okay, I went and I brought a new wife now. This one, she's Asian, so you can't even say, it was love at first sight, even. Like I saw her when I went, I was there. I met her. I said, will you marry me on site? It was very instantaneous. And she said yes. She said yes. So you can see we're very, very much in love. It's very, the attraction is like magnetic. It's like magnets, very, very tight. So, but it's my 4th one, but this is those other ones were a mistake. Very big mistake. That's why I'm glad that you denied them, because now I have found this one now. We are going to have a lot of children, plenty. You want 5, I say 6, so maybe we have 4. We just settle in the middle. That's it. And she can just say something. They want you to see. Do you have questions for her? She can answer any questions you have. You don't have, but it's, this country, it's not that I like to marry too many wives. It's just that the women, every time they see me, they'll just be dragging my clothes. They won't let me pass in peace. Like I wanted to walk yesterday. I went to the grocery store. I was walking. One was pulling my left leg. I have the injury. You massaged me, right? My injury. Remember the injury?
Yeah.
So that injury was from 2 women pulling me. It's the magnetic force that's the thing. So no, please. Like I said last time, just approve this thing now. We have tried. You know, four wives is not easy. It's not easy, so just please.
Thank you for joining us on another trip through African politics where leaders disappear like magicians, corruption is a game of wait and see, and elections are as predictable as the sunrise. From Kenya's power plays to Cameroon's vanishing act and Mozambique's democratic spectacles, it seems like holding on to power is the real national pastime, right alongside sealing ballot boxes and disappearing to Switzerland for a quick health check. But the question remains, will the people manage to change their fate, or are we destined for an endless loop of deja vu politics where only the names change and the stories stay the same? See you next week for another episode of Second Take.